Welcome to the Cory Lee Show, where our focus is on building leaders and transforming culture. My name is Cory Lee, and in each episode, I aspire to ignite something on the inside of you that encourages you to grow yourself and to make an impact on the world around you. Welcome to the Cory Lee Show. Welcome back to the Cory Lee Show. Hey guys, I hope you are having an amazing day, an amazing week. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit about my new book that's out. It's called Champions, the Attributes, the Lifestyle, the Choice. And it is out, available now. You could get that on Amazon. You can get that on my website. But it's really about, I was getting the opportunity to speak with a lot of high school athletes, some college athletes, and really wanted to just kind of inspire them to be a champion on the field and off the field, to be bigger on the inside than on the outside, and really to be young men and young women who are good at what they do and great at who they are. And we've been in this series for the last few weeks, if you've been jumping in and listening in to the podcast, of going through that book. And today we're talking about one of the chapters in the book that I talk about. I titled it A Champion's Attitude, the expectation to win. And one of my favorite quotes is by Zig Ziglar. He said, "Your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your altitude." How about that? Your attitude will determine your altitude. My attitude, in large part, will determine how high up I can go in my career and how high up I can go in life. A conversation my wife and I, we've been having lately is the collective attitude of some teams, right? We both grew up playing sports and performed on, championship caliber teams. Some of the teams we were on are really good teams. I also played on some teams that weren't very good and on teams that were mediocre. And as my wife and I began to talk about this, some of the key differences between those championship caliber teams and the other teams became a point of a conversation for us. And one of the main contrasts that we saw that stood out to us is this certain kind of attitude and the expectation to win. See, when I was in football and my wife was in basketball, both of our teams were really, really good. We knew it, and we expected to win every single game, no matter who we were playing. In contrast, though, there were times that I was on teams that were not very good. And while on those bad teams, there was not really an expectation to win. It was more of an attitude, hey, go out there, play, and let's hope for something good to happen. And you know what? On those teams, we were excited and even shocked when we actually won some games. Switching the mode, though, to being parents of athletes, these days we watch a lot of games. And it's really interesting just to observe the way players carry themselves, how they interact with others, and really the seriousness in which they warm up. I think it says a lot about the expectation level that the teams hold on winning that game. See, champions have an attitude of expecting to win. And this is not an arrogant thing. Don't get me wrong on that. That's not an arrogant thing. It's an awareness thing. See, champions carry themselves with an expectation that everything they set out to do, they expect to win. Success is expected. Therefore, they prepare, they plan, and they execute with excellence. They have the heart posture that says that if a task has been offered to them, then they will operate under the assumption that there ain't no other person on this planet that can accomplish the task as well as they can. Again, it's not an arrogant thing. It's an attitude thing. It's an attitude of taking full responsibility and full ownership to what they were assigning their name to do. I found this kind of interesting. In 2015, Mississippi State University, they formed a new team through its animal science program called horse judging. How about that? Horse judging. It's a thing. And the coach was a multiple card carrying horse judge and representing some of the most well-known horse associations in the nation. And this dude, he meant business, right? He didn't care that the students who showed up for the team tryouts that first day, that they may have never even done anything in that or even heard of horse judging, for that matter of fact. But he promptly let them know the expectations were high and the demands were daily, and only the dedicated needed to actually apply. In short, excellence was not optional. Now, horse judging comprises competition between various universities with some programs investing the majority of their participants' first year in the areas of basic training and preparation, sometimes with only second-year participants going on to compete at the national level. But during this first year, Mississippi State University, their team went out to All-American Quarter Horse Congress, the largest horse show in the world. By the end of the competition, they had earned the title of Reserve Grand Champion. A handful of weeks after this victory, the team would go on to place third at the American Quarter Horse Association World Championship show, finishing only 6 points behind the Reserve World Champion. And I find that interesting. One, I want to throw that in there because that's a unique story, but it also goes in to show that attitude is the difference maker when it comes when times get tough. See, everyone has a good attitude when things are going well. But things don't go well always or forever, right? Eventually, some difficult moment's going to come up, difficulties arise, and then we are faced with adversity. Adversity, though, it's not always a bad thing. It's not always bad news in of itself. Rather, it's the circumstance that reveals what lies beneath the surface. See, it shows us how deep that taproot of our commitment to a good attitude really runs. I wrote a book a couple of years ago, maybe it was last year. It's called Leading with Insight, 31 Days of Wisdom for Leaders. And in that, I wrote about one of my favorite proverbs. And it expresses that if you faint in your day of adversity, then your strength is small. See, champions, you made to do hard things. You were made for the difficult moments. A champion does not shy away or cower in the corner from difficult moments. They rise to the challenge. See, when adversity strikes, many like to ask, why me? Why me? Oh, why me? But see, the champion, they ask, why not me? If not me, then who? Look, there will be no change unless someone makes a change. So why not you? You were made to do the big things. It's for the big and impactful things that you were made. You were made for such a time as this. As Esther 4:14 says, I firmly believe that you are no accident, you are no mistake, and that you were purposely created during this generation for this generation. So rise up, champion. It is time for you to rise up. You were made to weather the storms. And not only that, but you were also made to rise above them. See, the critic may faint during adversity. The critic may complain. They may whine, moan, and gossip. But that ain't, you know what? That life ain't no life for a champion. And you are a champion. I was reading the Bible the other day in Numbers 11, when I noticed something very interesting about the beginning of the chapter. So leading up to this verse of the chapter, the children of Israel, they had been in Egypt for 430 years, and they had served as slaves to the Egyptians for much of that time. And by the finger of God, they had escaped Egypt and were making their way through the wilderness, and they were headed to the land that had been promised to their ancestors. And while making their way through the wilderness to get to the promise, they faced some difficulties, all right? And that's where we find the verse that I'm about to read to you. This is Numbers 11:1. It says, now the people became like those who complain and whine about their hardships. How about that, right? I mean, you can go on and read the rest of the story to see what happens for yourself. But aside from all the other details of the account, it is a very interesting statement about how they were responding to the adversity around them. See, they were not responding as victors, as a chosen people for an appointed purpose. Instead, they had joined the critics and the underdogs. See, they lowered their sense of identity as well as the quality of their response to the life that they were supposed to be living. I just want to share with you a couple ways that the critic and the underdog respond to adversity. Number one, they like to whine and complain, okay? This is where we focus more on the problem instead of the progress. We focus more on the challenges rather than the opportunities. We focus more on what's going wrong than what is going right. We focus our energy on the negative, and where our focus goes, our energy flows. If I look for all the problems, I'll find it. But the opposite is also true. If I look for the solutions, then I'll find them. See, anyone can call out the problems or the challenges of culture in society. I mean, that takes zero talent. It takes zero skill. It takes zero wisdom. Champions are solutionaries. They see the problems just like everyone else, but here's the difference. Once they see the problem, they're also seeking for possible solutions. I think, too, they act with presumption. My friend Scott King, he calls this one the lie of comfort. See, the lie is the situation of when we wrongly think that we should never have to deal with problems or overcome challenges or face adversity. And those walking along the road of presumption, they like to think that life should be a life of ease, comfort, and convenience. The false premise is that life should be easy, and that if it's not, we should not work hard or pursue the dream. In fact, we could just complain about it. And most often, to established group of fellow pity partiers, that's what they do. Every single thing worthwhile, it is uphill, my friend, and it's typically uphill all the way. Pressure is what creates diamonds. Fire is what refines the gold and the silver. And muscles are built and strengthened by being placed under stress. See, I want us to be disgusted with laziness. I want us to despise indifference. I want us to hate apathy. There's got to be something stirring within you that says, I know that I was made to do something great. I know that I was knit together on purpose and meant to make a mark on this generation. I want you to wake up that inner man. Wake up that inner woman. You were made for such a time as this. The attitude of indifference, apathy, and laziness is not a part of the makeup or the mode of a champion. Champions take responsibility for their attitude. See, our attitude is 100% within our control, period. I cannot control what other people say to me, what they do to me, or they think about me, but I have 100% control over my response and my reaction. Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Cory Lee Show. Y'all, I am on a mission to build leaders and to transform culture. So if you're looking for a speaker who speaks directly to the heart, a mentor to come alongside you and your team, or if you're in a position where you're looking for a personal coach who embraces where you are and also believes in who you could become, then I would be honored to walk this path with you. Simply reach out to me on my email at Cory@CoryLeeLeadership.com. Look, let's make your vision a reality. Contact me, and together we'll navigate the path from aspiration to achievement. Your transformation, it starts now. Viktor Frankl, he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And he has this very famous quote in there. It's a very powerful quote. He said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And it's in that space where our power to choose, it's in that space that our response lies. And that's where our growth and freedom is. And see, that's a very powerful statement, especially when you know his background. Viktor Frankl, he was a Jewish psychiatrist, and he spent some time at Auschwitz. And he tells a story in there about how they would load him up on the train. They take him away from everybody that he knows, takes him away from his friends and family, puts him on the train. He gets to Auschwitz. They take away all of his possessions, take away his watch and his wallet, right? They take away his clothes, strip him naked right there in front of everybody, taking away his dignity and pride. And then they would give him some new clothes, and on these new clothes, it would have a number on it. And that number was now his identifier. No longer could he be called Victor. If you were to address him, you had to call him by the number. And it's in this scenario that he says something very profound. So he's like, you know, every freedom can be taken away from someone. You can take away the freedom to be around friends and family. You can take away someone's dignity and their pride and their possessions. But there's one freedom that it cannot be taken away. It can only be given. And he said, everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstance, to choose one's own way. That is pretty powerful. See, freedom can be taken from a man, and so can his family, his possessions, his identity. But there's one thing that cannot be taken, and that's your attitude. So no matter how you look at it, I think Victor, his use of the word freedom is an interesting word choice. It refers to the reality that there is this space between someone saying or doing something to us and our reaction, right? Like he says, between stimulus and response. Think about that. Stimulus. Somebody does something to me, says something about me, whatever, something happens to me. And then there's this window of time between that and my response. And he says, it's in that window where our truest freedom lies. When our kids are younger, our oldest son, he came to me one day and y'all, he was mad. Well, he was so mad. I don't know if you've ever experienced somebody when they're so mad that bottom lip starts to quiver, you know. He had that bottom lip just a quivering and tears are coming down his face and he was so mad. And I said, well, Colton, man, what's wrong, man? And he said, oh, just Brady made me so mad, right? Brady made me so mad. And the thing is that Brady was like his 3-year-old brother at that time. And I asked him, I was like, well, what happened? And Brady had said something that made him mad. And I said, Colton, if somebody else can make you mad, if somebody else can make you sad, or if somebody else can make you glad, then you've been had. See, if somebody else can make you sad, mad, or glad, you've been had, because what you've done is you have empowered someone else to have complete control over you. If the outcome of your day is determined by someone else, if it's like if my day is going to be a good day is determined by somebody else making me happy, or if my day is bad because somebody else made me mad, then I've rendered myself powerless and I've given away our freedom to someone else. And I told Colton, you are far too valuable and far too powerful to be giving someone else that kind of control over your lives. See, champions understand that circumstance happen. I mean, it happens to us all, good and bad. And these do cause emotions to stir, right? Like sadness, madness, and gladness, all that stuff, those are emotions, but champions can control their emotions. They are aware of their emotions, yes, but they are not controlled by their emotions. I also think champions have a contagious spirit about them. See, champions are contagious. The way they go about their lives, the way they interact with others, the way they speak elevates others and sparks something on the inside of them. They've lit themselves aflame, and the fire that's on the inside of them is caught by those closest to them, and it inspires them to live like a champion. Champions inspire others to do well for themselves and others. The spirit in which they carry themselves impacts and influences the lives of the people they may never even meet, because they've impacted somebody who goes out and impacts somebody else. A last thought on this, I also think that champions, they live with some intentionality. Champions, they've cut all ties with mediocrity. They've cut all ties with good and with average. They do not live on autopilot of just going through the motions or checking things off a list. There's always a choice about the way you do your work, even if there is no choice about the work itself. Champions carry the same spirit of excellence in every area of life. Champions, they aren't led by a spirit of jealousy or selfish ambition. Jealousy is to look at others with a heart posture that murmurs to itself that someone else has what I want or what I think I deserve, and then accordingly I start to act in such a way to try to get it. Selfish ambition is to act in such a way as to make yourself appear better than others. It's to push others down in an attempt to elevate yourself. What's interesting is that both selfish ambition and jealousy, they're both rooted in a scarcity mindset that says the world is full of lack and limitation. Therefore, I must defend what I have because there's simply not enough to go around. And what I do have, it could be taken away from me at any moment. But y'all, that kind of attitude, I'm just telling you, it's live a life in response and reaction to things instead of living a life in pursuit of purpose and as a conqueror. It's to always to live life playing on defense, never on offense. It's like a football team that plays not to lose rather than to play and to win. And kind of like Herm Edwards says, you play to win the game. Hello, right? There is no lack. Like the God who spoke all things into creation is a God of abundance, not lack. If you doubt that, then I want you to go outside on your grass, and I want you to bend down at your feet. I want you to try to count the blades of grass just at your feet. Like Go to the beach and try to count the grains of sand between your toes. Look at a tree and try to count the leaves on one branch of one tree. Apparently, we live in the Milky Way galaxy. You know what they say? How many stars are in the Milky Way galaxy? I mean, I don't know, but there are billions, all right? Like, do you know how many galaxies there are? I'm not quite sure either, but I heard there are billions, right? Here's the thing. Champions live out their lives from an identity of who they are as champions. They don't have to take something from someone else or make others look bad in order to make themselves appear good. Everything they put their hand to, they strive to do it with excellence. They do not do this with the intent to try to prove anything or for the sake of appearance, but simply because of who they are. See, if you have to make others look bad to make yourself look good, then you're not a champion. If you feel the need to take something from someone else instead of doing the work to earn it, then you are no champion. I like what Coach Prime says. He says the man never tries to be the man because he is the man. The dude that tries to be the dude, he validates that he's not the dude because you can't try to be who you already are. Ooh, see, that's good. I like that. That's the result of an attitude of a champion. There's an attitude and an expectation that champions carry themselves with. They play to win the game. They do not go through life hoping someday to make it to the end. They live their lives with purpose and with the intent to impact the world around them. They have no desire. They ain't got no desire to live life in such a way as to safely arrive at death. They are not among those who died at 30, but were not buried until 75, right? Instead, their life was lived until the last possible moment of opportunity. Here's my last word of encouragement for you. When the record book of your life is complete, let it show the wins and the losses, but hey, don't let it show that you did not try. Guys, I hope today has added value to you. I hope it has sparked something on the inside of you. I hope it has encouraged you. And if it has, hey, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear your comments. I would also love if you could help me get the message out. Feel free to share it with a friend or family member. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with any of the latest episodes of the Cory Lee Show. And if you're interested in a physical copy of the book, you can go to Amazon. You can also go to my website, CoryLeeLeadership.com/champion, and you can order that there. And would love for you to have that. So, hey, hope you guys have a great day and God bless. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Thanks for joining me today. I hope I have added value to you. And if you have found value in this episode, let me know. Drop a comment and make sure you share with a friend or family member. See you next episode.